31,000 yen or $215 is this lovely Ricoh Dynamic. While I briefly touched on Ricoh watches before, I've yet to do an in-depth analysis, so let's get into it. Ricoh wristwatches started when the photocopier and camera giant, originally founded as Riken Kankoshi Company Limited, purchased the insolvent Takano Semitsu Kogyo Company in 1961. Takano had previously produced all-metal clocks, wristwatches with movements supplied from the West German Duro Wii, and even an ultra-thin watch with a movement of their own design in the form of the Chateau, a first for the Japanese market. Thus, Ricoh was well equipped to make watches under their own name, starting from May 8, 1962, with the first Ricoh-branded watches appearing on the Japanese market later that year. The American Hamilton, desperate to remain solvent, purchased a 60% stake of Ricoh Watches Limited in 1963, with the goal of producing its electric watches for the Japanese market using less expensive Japanese labor. The movement, the Ricoh caliber 555E, was the same as the standard time caliber 130E or Hamilton caliber 505. Sales were poor in Japan, with most taking place on U.S. military bases, where traditional Japanese watchmakers such as Seiko were not as strong as a competitor. The venture ended in 1965, with some leftover stock sold under the Hamilton Vantage brand in the United States. Ricoh, however, would continue selling watches much like this one before us. It has the Caliber 61, a simply constructed 21-jewel automatic movement with a Glashütte-inspired escapement that would remain virtually unchanged from 1968 until 1990, although Ricoh still does produce watches in general today, but on a much smaller scale than it did in the 1960s and 70s. This watch may look a whole lot like Ricoh simply photocopied a Rolex day date, but it manages to stand tall on its own merits.